You're watching Talk with Audrey. Welcome back. To help keep infants and young children safe, the New York State Department of Health and the New York State Office of Children and Family Services developed the new anaphylaxis policy for child daycare program, which sets in place guidelines to be followed by all New York State OCFS licensed and registered child daycare programs within the state. The new policy stems from a 2019 New York legislation called Elijah's Law, which requires all New York child daycare programs to have guidelines in place to recognize, prevent, and respond to life-threatening allergies to help save lives. Joining me with more about Elijah's Law and the importance of new anaphylaxis policies, Janice Molnar, Deputy Commissioner of the Division of Childcare Services in the Office of Children and Family Services, and Thomas Silvera, Elijah's father, and a leading patient advocate. Thank you both for joining me.
Yes, thank you for having us.
Let me start with you, Commissioner. Tell us more about this new statewide anaphylaxis policy and what it means for child daycare programs in New York.
What it means fundamentally is adding a new layer of safety and reassurance for parents. Because what it requires is that child daycare programs have a plan for what to do, how to recognize the signs and symptoms of a severe allergic reaction, and what to do about it. The policy also requires training to give them the tools to help them understand allergic reactions and the fact that 1 out of 13 children in the United States has a reaction to some kind of allergen, whether it's a food, peanuts, milk, what have you, an insect bite. And the thing about childcare for very young children, it's often their first time experiencing new things, new foods. So they and their parents may not even know that they have an allergy until it happens. And so what this policy requires is that providers and programs are ready to respond and intervene in the case of an emergency and prevent the kind of tragedy that led to this law in the first place.
Is this legislation the first of its kind, or has it been implemented in other parts of the country?
No, New York is leading the pack on this, and we hope that there are many copycats because it is so critically important. But yes, Elijah's Law is the first of its kind in the nation.
What can families in New York State do to make sure that their local child daycare program is prepared for potential anaphylaxis emergencies?
Good question. And it's a very basic answer. They should ask. They can ask their provider. They can ask the program. Did they do the training? Is there a plan? Should their child experience an allergic reaction? And my agency, the Office of Children and Family Services, has a lot of information on our website, which is ocfs.ny.gov, ocfs.ny.gov. So a lot of information there. And of course, they should talk to their doctor as well.
Thomas, your son Elijah passed from an anaphylactic emergency. Tell us about your passion for Elijah's Law and your role in helping to pass the legislation in New York.
No, absolutely. So on November 3rd, 2017, my son had passed away due to a tragic incident that happened to him while he was attending his daycare, his childcare center. He was fed a food that contained an allergen that caused him to go into giving him an allergic reaction and going into an anaphylactic shock and soon passing. After this, weeks on after what happened with our son, my wife and I, even in our grief, we needed to create change, and we looked into legislations and policies and guidelines in New York State to see if there were anything that was there to protect children of his age and of his grade level. And there wasn't, although there are 504s and IEPs that have these guidance and protections, but there was no actual legislation put in place that will have these licensed and registered childcare centers to be in compliance with strict policies and guidelines to put this protection with children with food allergies. And, we created this change in working with now Lieutenant Governor Brian Benjamin, Assemblyman Al Taylor, OCFS, and putting input and basically champion this type of legislation to be the staple and the gold standard of how we should prevent anaphylaxis in childcare center. Childcare providers play an important role in the health and well-being of children, and especially in schools. We talk about 1 in 13 in their first reactions in school, and the first line of defense to give a child who's suffering with an anaphylactic allergic reaction is to provide them with epinephrine and to call 911. So children who are diagnosed with allergies rely on their caregivers to prevent any exposures to the allergens. And that's why, with Elijah's Law, we put these policies and guidance in place to provide this added protection. So when the parents drop their kids off at school, they'll have peace of mind knowing that these educators are trained and well equipped to work, to kind of react in emergencies.
Talk to us about your foundation and your commitment to developing these programs.
Yeah, so the Elijah Alavi Foundation was basically founded in memory of my son, is to ensure that all children and infants in childcare centers with severe food allergies and asthma just have a safe space, when their parents drop them off at school. So we worked, hand in hand with our legislators, with networks and organizations, just to provide a level of professionalism and also provide the training and resources to these communities that need them, especially parents who have children with food allergies, don't know where to get the access or the resources. And just work to, it's our mission, our sole mission, to make sure we can provide this level of care, because my son didn't have that voice, and we want to provide that voice to as many people as possible. The Elijah Alavi Foundation understands the importance of consulting like reliable resources for knowledge. And that's why, we're here with OCFS, because they created a training which is free for these educators to go to, take the training, sign up for the non-specific auto-injector for their centers and so forth. I think what we're doing, it's emotional every time I'm talking about this, because had, these places understand the signs and symptoms of an allergic reaction, so many incidents can be preventable if they know this. And that's why, we're pushing, to make sure that these childcare centers understand the importance of this legislation.
Well, Thomas, I know that it must be very difficult for you to talk about losing your son. Thank you for sharing that with us. Janice, how do daycare providers access training?
It's online, so it's easy. Again, should they take that training, and they can ask for 2 non-patient specific epinephrine auto-injectors for free that we will send to their programs. We're in partnership with Health First to provide these devices, and they are life-saving devices. So the training, 30-minute training online, free of charge. They're required to do it, and it's good to know it anyway. They might be able to use what they've learned in their family life, not only in their work life, in childcare. It's something that we probably all should be better familiar with. What an allergic reaction looks like, what to do about it, how to intervene. So we're very hopeful that this will make a real difference.
And to save lives. My guests have been Janice Molnar, Deputy Commissioner of the Division of Childcare Services in the New York State Office of Children and Family Services, and Thomas Silvera, whose son Elijah unfortunately passed from an anaphylactic emergency. And now, there's Elijah's Law. Thank you for spending time with me today.
Thank you.
Thanks for having us.
I'll be right back.